Welcome to Concrete Block, your go-to source for in-depth analysis and discussion of current events from around the world. I'm your host, Walter, and we're glad you're joining us today. As we dive into the day's top stories, let's take a closer look at the developing situation in Syria. The country has been making headlines recently, with several regional powers vying for influence in the war-torn nation. India, in particular, has been making moves to establish ties with the new government in Syria, led by interim leader al-Sharaa. According to reports, India has sent a delegation to engage with the new regime, marking a significant shift in its policy towards Syria. This move is seen as an attempt by India to ensure it's not left out of the reconstruction efforts in the country and to safeguard its strategic interests in the region. Experts say that India's decision to reach out to the new government in Syria is a pragmatic one, driven by a desire to promote stability and secure trade routes and energy corridors critical to its economy. The move is also seen as an attempt by India to balance its relationships with other regional powers, including Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and the UAE. It's worth noting that Syria has been a major pawn in the complex game of regional politics, with several countries vying for influence. The new government in Syria, led by al-Sharaa, is still facing significant challenges, including sectarian violence and instability. As India navigates this complex landscape, it will be interesting to see how its relationship with the new government in Syria develops. Will this move pay off for India, or will it face challenges in its attempts to establish a strong foothold in the region? We'll continue to monitor the situation and bring you updates as more information becomes available. That's all for now. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're diving into the world of international trade and economics for our middle segment today. A story that's been making waves in recent days is the imposition of a 39% tariff by the US on certain Swiss goods. This move has sent shockwaves through the Swiss business community, with many expressing concerns about the potential impact on their exports. Now, let's break down what's happening here. The US has imposed this tariff due to a perceived trade imbalance between the two countries. However, the Swiss argue that this imbalance is largely due to the country's role as a major gold refining hub. You see, raw gold is often sent to Switzerland for processing, and then exported to other countries. While the value of this gold is indeed high, the profit margins for Swiss refiners are relatively small. The question on everyone's mind is, will this tariff have a significant impact on the global trade in gold? Well, it's worth noting that gold itself has been spared from the tariff, so Switzerland's refining sector can continue to operate without disruption. However, the wider trade tensions and increased costs for shipping and insuring gold transactions could still have a ripple effect on the industry. The Swiss government has been trying to negotiate with the US to reduce or eliminate this tariff, but so far, no agreement has been reached. In response, some politicians in Switzerland are calling for countermeasures, such as imposing tariffs on US goods. However, others argue that this could escalate the situation and harm both countries' economies. As we can see, this is a complex issue with many different perspectives and potential consequences. We'll be keeping a close eye on how this story develops and bringing you updates as more information becomes available. For now, it's clear that the Swiss business community is facing significant challenges in the wake of these tariffs. The country's exports are likely to become less competitive in the US market, which could have a negative impact on economic growth. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block, folks. We've got a lot to unpack in our final segment today. As we've been following the developments in international diplomacy, it seems that President Trump has announced his intention to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Zelensky soon. According to sources, this meeting would be a significant step towards resolving the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. The White House has indicated that President Trump is now open to meeting with President Putin, which could potentially lead to a breakthrough in negotiations. It's worth noting that this development comes after a series of diplomatic efforts by the U.S. and other international parties to broker a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. While the details of the proposed meeting are still unclear, it's evident that all parties involved are seeking a resolution to the conflict. We've also seen reactions from various stakeholders, including lawmakers and experts, who are cautiously optimistic about the potential outcome of this meeting. Some have emphasized the importance of ensuring that any agreement reached is fair and equitable for all parties involved. As we continue to monitor the situation, it's essential to remember that diplomacy is a complex and often delicate process. We'll be keeping a close eye on developments and bringing you updates as more information becomes available. In the meantime, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this potential meeting between President Trump, President Putin, and President Zelensky? Do you think it's a step in the right direction towards resolving the conflict? Share your opinions with us on social media using the hashtag #ConcreteBlock. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay informed.